Hi, welcome to Fast is Fun. Today we have a very special guest for me, someone that I've, at least the last couple of years seen develop in his own, not only in his own role and stature, but behind the race car, and seeing him actually go faster and get better and better as we go along. His name's Austin Zagame, as I said, a very good personal friend of mine, and I welcome him to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So, Austin, let's start with telling our audience, what do you do?
So I am the Ferrari Ambassador for Zagame Automotive. So my base role is doing pretty much salesman for after sales, so products, merchandise in that side of but as well as assisting the service manager.
So not just that, you're also talking through the clients with the features on the car as well. Whatever the salesman is missing out, and you're gonna link in between service and everything, that any information gaps that client needs, you're providing that.
Correct.
I really think that my background in 15 years in dealerships before that, I really think that's an effective process as well. So.
Yeah, exactly. Learning the whole basis of an automotive dealership. So from the ground up. So it doesn't start from anywhere. Washing cars, you got to perfect that first of all.
Absolutely. I think any job in a dealership starts with washing a car. I was told, 20 years ago, if you can't wash a car, you can't work on a car.
Mm.
I've experienced that almost every year that Zagame's have sort of come back on board. One of my best experiences, I know I've done a few teams in my background, like from Nissan, I've done Mercedes-Benz, but the best fun I've ever had in any sense is the Zagame tour. From the people to the crowd, there's no, you don't feel like that. There's no snobbery. Everyone is on one level. Everyone wants there to party and have fun to a safe level. We've never felt like out of place, and I think you guys have, have probably contributed to one of the best fun factories you can get it. Like, there's some people that do it well. Don't get me wrong. I've seen it. It's beyond the dinners. It's beyond everything. It's just the culture you got. That's where I'm probably alluding to. It's the culture that you guys provide out loud, which you got to be proud of. So.
Yeah, so what we do is we're a family business. So going off the family aspect is we want everyone to be treated exactly the same. And no matter where how your upbringing, how everything is, but you all are family.
Yeah.
So in scenarios with events that we have, we want to give everyone the best experience that they've ever set foot in Adelaide. So something that can be so simple as just a dinner, it will be the best dinner that they can have, so that they can come back and realise what they've had and how it made them feel. Yeah,
100%. It is completely transparent. You not only do you have your mum and dad walking around and everything like that, but every staff member comes up to you. They know your name by first name. It does make you feel like $1 million when you're there. So good on you guys more than anything. Is there anything exciting different to last year or anything that's going to come out, or what or you can't tell us yet?
Potentially, but that has to be a secret.
So okay. I know. I try to sneak it in. It'll be all right.
We'll find out.
I try to get the goss when I can. So guys, I'm sorry. I tried. You saw it there. But can I ask, the 595 is coming out?
It will be there.
Yeah, you picked some tyres, different tyres this time. Anything new that you want us to do? Any wheel alignment specs? Anything we're thinking of? Or we've got to do a pre-check before then. What's going on?
Well, we've got the camber plates.
Yep.
So that will be new for this year.
Yep.
As well, we'll still be running the Toyo R-Spec.
Yep.
So
they've been. You know what? They're a fantastic tyre. I think you've actually. I think it's something you trust that you can roll into that corner. If it's Matalara, Taylor and Bend, that it's a tyre that you can trust. And I think that's more than anything. Like you know the boundaries where you can push your car. I think that's a very important tyre aspect. We see it in our own world that people sometimes are faster on a Dunlop or a Michelin or a street tyre compared to a racing slick tyre, which they can overheat or not have enough heat in and be performing poorly compared to some of the cheaper tyres where they are more consistent.
Yeah,
they probably trust that a bit more.
Exactly. The Toyo. Well, I've come to really trust the Toyo.
Yep.
So it really. I can be late on the brakes and really coast through that corner without feeling any slip. So being a semi-slick, they're still road legal as well, but as well can handle under load. So getting hot, it can stand really well on the track.
So tell me this then. This is probably better for especially people going into the Adelaide Rally. we don't know what conditions we're ever going to find. I'm bringing out, like, for instance, a race ute with a lock diff with 600 horsepower. It's going to be loud. It's going to be crazy. And I've got really good brakes. But if the wet weather changes, we're going up Belair Road and it's raining. We need an intermediate tyre.
No, definitely.
Because wet and dry, that's going to happen. So 100% the tyre, if it's anything on top of your safety checks before doing the Adelaide Rally, I think the first thing to talk about is tyres, like in that sense. Picking an intermediate that when the road weather could change.
That's what you don't want to have too slick tyres, because if you are, the wet weather is just terrible for it. I've felt that as well on semi-slick. So with the Toyo, I had a very dewy day. You were there.
Yeah.
So we had the track got delayed by 3 hours. And so we're sitting there waiting and waiting. We finally go out on the track. Felt good first corner, but hit a really dewy patch. And the rear just gave out. And in that instance, being on a nice flat surface where it can handle, the track.
You could catch it. Yeah,
exactly. But if you were out in a rally, it's a different scenario. There's a wall run.
That last time we were at Tailem Bend, it was hairy that morning, hey?
Very,
I remember the fog, like you couldn't even see 100 metres in front of you.
Yeah, that's why I got delayed for such a long time.
Yeah, that was crazy, yeah. But that's good. Like at least you're getting out there, and I feel like that. I don't play golf, so for me, like getting out on the track is my escape. And I think you see the same things. And I really hope that you get out a bit more. So.
Yeah, definitely need to go stretch their legs. That's for sure.
100%. And then you know what? It's good for clients too. I don't think that cars should be cooped up. I don't think like it's there's an ego thing of I need to buy this, but I'm just going to store it and not drive it. Or the ego says that I need the car, but I actually can't drive it. I feel like that it's freedom, and I feel like if you get to that point where you can buy that $500,000 Ferrari, you should actually go out and use it every time you possibly can.
Because you can't experience the true capabilities on the street. That's why it is a sports car for a reason. It's a car that needs to be able to go that distance. You can show that the reason why they got carbon ceramics is because they can be heated under the load, so that they can really show that the capability of the car.
Yeah, I remember the guy that we did this track testing day in America of the old 458, and he's like, John. He goes, next corner, you're braking too early. I said, what do you mean? He's like, all right, I need you to do 2 Mississippis after the brake cone. All right, I need you to yell 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, then hit the brakes. And he was explaining that the Ferrari is going to brake so late, you're not going to worry about it. And then even the next session, I was in a Porsche GT3 and I couldn't get as near that brake cone without braking earlier. It's incredible. So yeah, they really designed it for a reason. How lucky are we about having tracks that are only an hour and a half, an hour away?
Oh, it's amazing. Well, you've got the Bend, you got Mallala, especially Mallala for the Abarth. Being that small compact car. And the terrain on Mallala is a bit rough compared to the Bend, so the surface is a bit. There's some corners where it deets in.
It's a bit unforgiving in some sense.
But that's what I love about it. It's not too complicated, but at the same time it is, where you have to really know the angles where you're going to take it because of the surface of the road.
Do you find the corners, like even the international circuit, Tailem Bend, do you find that the complex compared to the Mallala being that just turn right, straight, turn right, straight, turn right, straight?
Yeah, well, with Mallala, it's very direct. So you're hard on the brakes and then into the corner. So but with the Bend, there's a lot of swoops, there's a lot of elevations. So it's very contrast. So you can go up and down, and some corners are very tight and some corners are very heavy brakes. So it all varies. So it
takes a few laps for you to warm into that. Hey,
of course.
So do you find the sessions aren't long enough? By the time you bite, you get your rhythm.
Yeah. Yes and no. Well, the more you do it, of course, the better you'll get at it. But with me, I find that first 5 laps would be a bit hairy, and you would be reserved. I would brake late, and I would be gear shifting a bit too early. So, but then towards the end of this first session, I'll get the handle it and then the gist, and then I'll brake later, and I'll move more into the high speed area. So it's more about confidence than the track or the car itself. You can turn up in an Abarth or a Ferrari, and you'll be doing the similar times if you're not confident in the car or yourself.
Did you ever get the Lotus out?
Not yet.
Not yet.
That's we're working on that.
Working on the progress. Oh, you know what? I always just be sneaky there, but let's see if we can get you in the Lotus one day doing some hotter laps. That'd be good.
430 Cup. Yeah, that is a sensational car.
Yeah, I'm very envious. I do look at that all the time, and that's good on you. You know, and as I said, I think going back to that road, that you can actually talk in confidence with clients that are thinking about it, and you can give them that advice. Which is actually something very special that you own there. That's good. So, and the 595, I've built like at least half a dozen now, and they're so rewarding. And for intermediates or experts, you can just get faster and faster in a car that, you know, is built perfect almost from factory, but we can make them a little bit better.
Well, thinking of it, my car was the first one that you ever did.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the prototype. That was the the power valve exhaust. Now, it's funny that went through a phase. Now everyone just wants straight pipes. And it's one of those things we'll touch on an earlier podcast is what is the carb meant for? And I think the more you've developed with the roll cage and everything like that, it is almost a dedicated track car.
It is,
so you shouldn't worry about having the shut-offs on the exhaust or whatever, because on the day you put a tray plate on and go, and the boys in blue know you're not there to be stupid on the street. You're there to go to and from the racetrack, and what happens on the racetrack's not their problem.
Exactly.
So,
but to think about the Abarth is still running like it was brand new.
Yeah.
So no problems, no nothing. We've had a few hiccups, but
let's talk about this. That is a heritage bred race car, and no difference to it being a baby brother of the Ferrari. That's the fate. That's when manufacturers have done it right. I feel like it's built for that one thing.
Exactly.
And it's a really good sale point. Anything cool in the showroom right now?
Well, there's always cool stuff in the showroom, that's for sure.
What stands out though?
Stands out. Well, the brand new 296.
Yeah.
So that is a sensational car.
Yeah.
We can talk about that all day.
Yeah, the sound's tough though, hey.
It does. Well, first ever V6 twin turbo hybrid.
Yeah, and I'm a V8 fan, obviously. That's the foundations of, you know, what I grew up in and what I represent. But what do you feel like a V6?
Well, we call it the Piccolo V12.
Yep.
So half the amount of cylinders.
I like it.
So it is, you know, being the turbos are essentially a muffler. So it does dim down the sound. But
we saw that on the 488. It was loud. It was quieter than the 458.
But very mellow.
Straight out, mellow. The turbos do muffle them, yeah.
With in that way, so what they've done well is they've done a 120-degree block.
Yep. So
allowing the turbos to be mounted on top, so straight through exhaust.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So Ferrari are very proud of what they've produced, being the sound-wise, because everyone's...
So turbos in the middle of the valley of the V6?
Yeah, correct.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So straight through.
They call that a hot setup, don't they? Yeah.
So it handles perfection. So with 830 horsepower.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. There. And now, so anyone that thinks that a V6 isn't good enough, try your 830 horsepower
830.
out of a V6. What literage?
So 2.9.
That's ridiculous. But if you go back through history, the Dino was great.
Yeah, well, concept is based off the Dino.
Yeah.
So if you look at a lot of the shapes of the Dino, it's very similar to the Dino.
And that copped so much flack years ago. Yet then now, think about it, everyone wants one.
Oh, exactly. And they've just gone up and up and up in price. Like, we always get some people coming in and saying, do you have a Dino? Do you have a Dino? And, well, we can't because they're so limited.
Yeah.
And no one wants to sell theirs.
No, and nor should you. They're legacy items, aren't they?
Exactly.
So you just got to drive them, people. Like, just say, if you're going to own them, drive them. So we're going to drive that home. So you've got that. We've got that. Do you think we're missing out any models that are overseas that we don't get in Australia? Have we got access to anything you want in that sense?
Well,
if a customer wants it, they can order it.
Not in Ferrari related.
No.
So
because they have to work up to that, don't they?
Exactly. So you with the special edition cars, so we're talking the SB2 and the SB1 and SB3. So they're collector's cars. Yes, you can still order and buy them in here, but you won't. They're not road legal.
Yep.
So no windscreen. It's left-hand drive, so they don't convert these cars.
You're just sounding cooler and cooler every time. Like they said, just chuck the tray plate on everyone. Let's go.
No, exactly. But that's the thing with Ferrari's limited edition. They don't convert to right-hand drive.
Yep.
So they all stay left-hand.
Yep. And that's not such a bad thing. You know, it's built for one purpose. Dude, if the customers own them in Australia, obviously they would have their own trailers and stuff like that and take them to the track and back. Is that what they do? Or
a lot of these cars,
They store them.
They store them. So it's hard to drive them on the track because
It's the saddest thing I've heard.
Oh, well, if you think about it, you've got a $4 million car on a racetrack. That you got to always be that one.
I feel like at that level, you're like, yeah, well, fuck it, let's do it. Like, let's just roll the dice.
Like
at that sense, like what's the point? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I like. Listen, there's always people that they like art. I would say that would be an argument. So it's a piece of art in their house.
Well, they are rolling artworks, that's for sure.
Yeah. So okay, we'll throw that rebuttal there. I actually do agree. The more I talk about it in my head, the more I agree that yes, sometimes a painting's not worth something to someone, but something to another. Yeah, that makes sense. So good on them. Anyway, you know what? It's nice to see. Do you feel like the doom and gloom's there? People are spending though. They are buying cars.
Oh, correct. Yeah. So with the limited edition, you have to. There's only invitation only.
Yep.
So you're not actually able to. Say you've never owned a Ferrari, or this could be on the basis of same other brands. You've never owned that vehicle. Yep. You can't instantly be able to go, you know what, I want to buy that.
Yep.
So there's always stepping stones. So you have to purchase, a sports car, a GT, just these cars.
So you have to you start the entry level, and then you have to show prove that you are an enthusiast. You are buying them. Is it brand new or second hand? Do they register second hand as a purchase?
Yes, correct. Yeah, so you can get second hand cars. So
if you bought an old 308. Would that qualify you from owning a Ferrari?
No. So you have to keep updated. Yeah. So if you're wanting something that's new and new release, you have to be able to have either a GT or the new version. So always rotating your cars, not always selling them, but always updating and keeping.
As long as you're buying, they can prove that you are a true fan and you're into it, and then it qualifies you.
Yeah, correct.
Cool. What's your favourite Ferrari though, of all time?
Of all time, that's a good question because there's plenty of them. To put it in perspective, can I break away into two different cars?
Yeah,
because there's two reasons.
Yeah, one's track, one's daily.
No. So one's a sports car and one's a GT. So I know that they're new, but the 296.
Yeah.
After being able to drive that for a good amount of times, I can safe to say that that's probably one of the best cars that I've ever driven.
As on drivability, the way it sounds, like
the whole aspect of it. So it's a shorter wheelbase. So going from the 488 and the F8, they kept on getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And then with being a smaller engine, they can really compact it. So short wheelbase.
It's nimble.
It's sensational. So around the corners, you can really pull it in and the rear won't come out. So it handles phenomenal. And the looks of it being based on a Dino, so there's a lot of similarities, but as well of the vents, so the braking system ducts, how they're contrasted between the lights. So it is if you go and have a look at the car, you'll really pick up on the small details that really embrace this car, with even the glass. So in the glass back, so it's the first engine that you can see in a while. So it being in a Spider and a coupe. So with the 458 to F8, they stopped doing the see-through.
Yep.
So the glass.
I always loved that, man. I've got a grease lightning fetish that when the clear bonnet was glowing from the ground. But all of you oldies out there, you would know what it means. So we like a clear bonnet.
So they've brought that back, and that's another standpoint of why it's such a beautiful car, because of the way it's curved, so the heat can be extracted. So it's just all round a beautiful car.
So it sounds like your favourite. What's the second one though?
Second favourite is an 812.
Yeah.
So super fast, in my opinion.
Just completely utter shit scared thing.
Yes, and that for me is rolling artwork.
Yeah.
So the shape of the car.
What colour though? Is it red? Is Ferrari red the colour?
Rosso Corsa, so red. So it has to.
Like I said, there's a lot of yellow ones out there. Like I'm partial for a black Ferrari. It is. Like that South Beach looking style,
Yeah, no, exactly.
But red is the colour, hey?
Oh, red, especially in that car. So it really shows the curves and all the brilliance towards a front engine V12.
Well, that's what the heritage of Ferrari though is red. Like that's what it is.
Well, it is, yeah.
Cool. Now the question I had to ask you. Well, I'll tell you about my Ferrari, by the way. Sorry, I'll go back on that. Well, if I was going to own one, it would be a 328, like a 75, a 76. And the reason being is that I want it completely utter selfish. I'd remove the passenger seat out of that car. It was just me and I like a shift gate, like a manual Ferrari. No radio, windows open, countryside. Yeah. And when I go red, they made this jade blue. And I remember seeing it on Top Gear, and it was the gearboxes rattling, and it felt like it was going to fall to pieces. And I feel like I'm a big fan of the era of when supercars were actually a heap of shit. Like the early Diabolos and stuff like that. They were rattly, they were built, and they felt like they were built in a backyard.
They were race cars.
Yeah, they were race cars. And that's the feedback I get. So if you ever get a 328 in, mate, let me tell you, I want to be there.
We'll keep you updated on
100%. Like, it's just something about the like a H pattern gate when you're shifting. I don't know.
The raw, so like when you have to really jam it into the gear.
It's got to be horrible. I think the experience is going to feel like you're going to die, so you forget about all your problems driving back.
Steering.
No power steering, nothing. Like, you almost love it so much you fucking hate it, but you fall in love. That's that balance they found, know?
Exactly.
Oh, that makes me, and it just makes me feel like any heap of shit I've owned, there's sort of something special about it every through. So, what else? We'll go with some Q&A. Worst car you ever driven out of the lot? What'd you trade it that was bad?
Traded. Well,
like in your time in dealerships and around, like any vans or anything like that, with like any heaps of shit that stick out.
Not really. We haven't bought something that is probably at that standard. But for me, we're going back is when I was learning to drive. Yeah. So my first proper car, well, Mum had a Q5. Yeah. And
turbo diesel or petrol?
Petrol.
Yeah.
So, and then
2 litre. Yeah.
Yeah. So great car.
Yeah.
And then Dad had a Ute. So it was always those two cars, and they're very nice, beautiful cars. Don't get me wrong, but I was learning in those two cars. Yeah. And then I went to a 1985 Toyota Corolla.
Killer.
So
if you ever see the commercial, by the way, there's an Australian cricket commercial that goes COROLLA along. Oh, what a feeling to rolling along. Oh, sorry, it's just stuck in my head because my brother used to tape all these 80s cricket and 90s cricket. And if you ever look at the square awesome. Corollas, it's probably one of the most iconic Australian commercials there.
Oh, that's unreal.
So you had an 80s Corolla, man?
Yeah, so 80s Corolla, and I had an old Italian teaching me how to drive, and being that new to the learners aspect, it was quite difficult.
Someone aggressive, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, it was. You know what? It's probably the first calm Italian that I've ever met.
Yep,
especially
full off the boat.
Yeah. But Rocco was his name.
And 100% being your last name Zagame, he didn't let you off at all. Like, he's like, nah, you're going to learn my way.
I don't think he knew who I was, which was good.
No, good.
It was good to learn in that car, that's for sure.
So we know the dream car. We know the worst car you've driven. What's the stickiest spot your car's got you into, though?
Probably that one time that we were at the track.
Oh, yeah. Let's get it. Like, so we did a lot of research and development. I'll just take over on Austin for this. One of the funniest moments we've had on the racetrack is that we had this exhaust valve. They're in development, and we sold at least 2 dozen of these concepts, not only on the Abarths, but on all models, even the Alfa Romeo Quattrofoglio. We've done a few. There's a lot of people that wanted this on-off exhaust system. But for Austin's, it didn't prove a problem on the street with the way the dump pipe exited. But on the racetrack, and it was only a particular day, we had a 35-degree day at Matalar. I remember it was stinking hot. No. Remember the track temperature was like 55, 60 degrees. So the tyres were melting on the ground.
You could see the wave going around.
I remember the day was horrible. And what happened like lap 5, lap 6 to Austin, we started seeing this haze on the back of his car. And he's coming to me, he was going, John, what'd you do to the tune? Like, the fuel economy's out the window, all right? Like, I'm getting 4 laps and I've got to fill up the tank.
Mind you, the track's 20 minutes. So you got 20-minute circuits, so 5 times. And so we went out the first 15, and when we got to the track, we filled up. So and then we went out on the track, and then I raced around, and then I came back in, and then I go to John, there's no fuel left.
There's no fuel left. And then there's the fire truck following around him. And he's like, lap 5, there's an explosion coming out of his fuel tank. And he's just, like he said, there's fuel everywhere around the track. I was like, what's going on? So the fuel tank was heating up so much, it was punching the fuel straight out of the neck, and it was spraying the whole track with fuel as he went around the track. We didn't even see it because it was such a haze. But I was like, why is there a fire truck following Austin around? So it turns out that the power valve in high speed was blowing hot exhaust fumes right onto the fuel tank, and was boiling the fuel out of the filler neck. So on the track, we're able to smash it with a hammer and divert it backwards, so it stopped it doing it. And then all of a sudden, the car performed better. It was going great. So then that brought us to lengthen the pipe out more to the side,
and more heated shielding.
Yeah, and we put this V8 supercar style heat shielding around the fuel tank and other components. So we knew all the components were metal, so we knew there wasn't going to be any flame proof or anything like that. But we just never imagined the effects of, at that high speed heat. And Madalar's a special track. I'll tell you now, it is the worst tyres, brakes on your car. It is crippling.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, we got brake shutter, remember?
Yeah.
So
funny enough, guys, one of the easiest upgrades for your 595 is using the 695 floating hub rotors. And we found them as a standard replacement when you can buy from your dealership. If you don't feel like you want to have any aftermarket components, buy the genuine. But DBA make a really, really good floating rotor there that we've now used on the car. But the factory 695 rotors are a good upgrade to stop that shutter, especially at Madalar.
it is.
That fixed them straight away.
Yeah.
So that's cool. That was some fun times.
It was a ticking time bomb.
Sure. But we sorted it. What do you want next in the car? What do you wish you had?
So the car is great where it sits now. There's not much to really do, but if I was to go all out, an all-wheel drive system for an Abarth would be probably the way to go, or a turbo upgrade kit.
So tell me about that. So we've talked about the all-wheel drive system. Funny enough about Austin, and correct me if I'm wrong, you've struggled with more oversteer than understeer.
Yeah, correct.
So tell me about tail and bend that time. We were there.
So it was... So really getting into the chicane area, that car can handle well.
Yep.
But then so you've got the chicane and then you've got the first left, and really trying to dive into that corner, it wasn't really gripping to how we wanted to, and I would, go out to the corner a bit too wide.
Yep. So one of the things that I found on the mechanical point with Austin's 595 is that it has a fixed beam rear end and it had fixed camber. So we couldn't correct any camber initially with the car.
Yes.
So we had I-back suspension. We had the best brakes, best suspension, best shock absorbers. He's got Coney 4 adjustables on that car. So you couldn't get any better when it came to that. But we still had this, even a front wheel drive, which you'd always derogatory think they understeer, but he was actually oversteering out of the corner.
I couldn't keep traction in the front. So it would I'll get a great out corner of it, but it still would slow down because the tyres would just keep on spinning, but won't keep grip.
But your arse end was kicking out. Now, Austin and I did a lot of research. We found these camber plates from Italy that slid into the end of the of the fixed beam, and it gave it 1.5 or to 2 degrees on the back end. So what it done, adding the rear camber kept the back end in play. So hopefully it's been untested. It's been tested at Madalar. It was a lot better at Madalar.
Yeah, no.
But Adelaide Rally and maybe Tail and Bend maybe at the end of the year.
Yeah, Tail and Bend definitely. We've got to wait till the weather gets a little bit better. But
well, don't tell me that. I'm racing Sunday, man.
Oh well,
15 degrees, no rain at this stage. So I think
it stays like that.
I do like the track positions that they have done, like being that so far where Tail and Bend is, close to the peninsula, and then also Madalar. Yeah. Generally, there's not much rain.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed. Hoping for the best of that.
Yeah, that should be good. And any new cars on the market? Anything else you got your eyes on? You're going to buy?
Not at this time. I've got myself a Ute.
Yep.
So just a Ford Raptor. And,
cool.
They're
a tough car.
They are for an everyday use. The suspension is just perfection. So I've we've got an extended fuel tank on that. Upgraded sound system. Also got the light bar, so all LED lights all the way through. So
full roof shooter.
Yeah. So it's the perfect the car for me for this time this time being. But in that scenario,
so Ferrari needs to get a ute, the guys. All right, that's what we need to do. We need to have an Australian Ferrari ute. Needs a V12. You know what? Maybe the V6 will grow twin turbo if it meets all emission standards. Let's do it. But we want at least a V8 in that. So what do you reckon?
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah. Not a Maserati though. They mix it up. They just borrowed a motor. All right. They make it a real Ferrari. All right. What do you reckon of Adelaide getting drag racing at the Bend?
That's exciting.
Yeah.
So a lot of our customers, they do as well buy supercars, but they as well have a lot of real old American race cars, well, for drag strips.
No, you guys have sold them though, because Zagame's also do consignment.
Yeah, we do everything.
I've definitely seen 68 Camaros, everything like that. They're all ready to race.
So that's exciting. So to get that in Adelaide, especially, and as well, right next to the Bend, what a better place.
Well, we see a lot in Europe and America. You do see McLarens. You see a lot of supercars actually hitting the drag strip. And now we've got tyres. We were only discussing this the other day. There is so many tyre options in the 20-inch mark now. You can buy from Mickey Thompson that do drag slicks in the factory size of your supercar.
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it?
So that way you can go out and use them as their multi-purpose. It doesn't only have to be circuit racing if you want to go on the straight line. So it'd be pretty cool if we see some Ferraris out there.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll see it one day.
All right. So all we got to do is, I think having the option of drag strip and circuit racing gives the customer the option to be comfortable what type of style they want to pursue.
Well, drag strip, they can test out the real acceleration of their car. So being able to get to probably around 250, 300 kilometers an hour in a straight line.
Nah, that's insane. And I think that makes customers rethink their own modifications. I know Castle-made Rod Shop put a Ferrari motor in their Tirana as well. So yeah, it's people being creative, not just in the LS world or the Barra world. They're actually experimenting in rec stuff as well, which is pretty cool.
And being able to fabricate something that can fit that engine is pretty sensational.
I reckon they built the car around the motor pretty much. Yeah,
definitely.
So that was pretty cool. Hey, listen, it's been an honour to have you on board. This is not the first podcast we're going to have. This is going to be many, many, many podcasts. It would be good to catch up after the Adelaide Rally and we'll do a debrief.
Of course.
But I really appreciate your time and your friendship and I hope you had a good time.
All right, I loved it.
Done. And our listeners and followers, we couldn't do this without your support. So thanks for tuning in and any more updates, please tune into axleconemechanical.com.au for any updates. They'll be on their website. And just remember, fast is fun and drive safely.